This week's episode of The Grid is sponsored by Impics. Shoot today, upload tonight, we ship tomorrow. On One Software, focused on photography. Peach Pit Press, publishers of technology books, ebooks, and videos for creative people. Epson, exceed your vision. Expo Imaging, rogue flash benders for speedlight enthusiasts. Intel, the power you need for hardcore creatives. Squarespace, everything you need to create an exceptional photography website. And B&H Photo, the professional source.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of The Grid. My name is RC, and this week I'm actually joined by Mr. Brad Moore.
What's up? How you doing?
What's going on? How you doing, man?
Good.
Good. And we have a special guest. We have Mr. Frank Salas here, all the way from California. He is a photographer out of Orange County. What's going on, Frank?
What's up, man? Just hanging out with you guys.
I know, man. Dude, people, I'm like watching you all over the place. I'm like, Frank's like been in meetings. It's all doing business stuff.
Yeah, right.
He's like running around. And they're like, well, deals over here, working over here. So I'm like,
Love it.
This is one of the first things. Aside from we went from lunch, right? We did some lunch.
Oh yeah.
But we haven't had a chance to talk. We got a topic. We're very excited about this topic. It's going to be really, really good. But before we get into the topic and conversation with Frank Salas, I wanted to talk a little bit about something that's happening this weekend. So we have the Worldwide Photo Walk.
Awesome.
Right? So if you go to the Worldwide Photo Walk website, and I'm going to go ahead and pull that up right now so you can take a look at it, we have over 1,200 walks already set up around the world.
Great.
Now, we have over 25,000 people doing this stuff. Now, before we go into anything else, just Brad, tell us a little bit about, because Brad, I don't know if you guys know this, but Brad is like one of the brains behind the entire photo walk thing. He's the dude that watches it. So talk to us a little bit about the process. Talk to us about what's happening with this.
So right now, we're just kind of in the final stages of everything before the walk happens. But whenever Saturday gets here, if you're not already signed up, you can go to the Photo Walk website. Just search for where you're at, and it'll pop up with a map, and you can go and just sign up for whichever photo walk you want to join. And then you go hang out with other photographers and other awesome people that are going to be out. And they're taking place all over different locations, all over the world. I mean, it's worldwide.
That's my favorite part with this kind of stuff, because what happens is if you go to worldwidephotowalk.com, right? So we're on the site now. If you're here, you go over to the Find a Walk section. Right? If you click on this, this is the part that I get really jazzed about. I start watching a lot of the social stuff that happens on that day, but you'll see cities around the world. I mean, look, there's places everywhere that are doing photo walks, right? So, look, there's a photo walk in Mongolia. You know, there's a photo walk in this place. I don't know what that is. No, the Philippines. The Philippines represent in these photo walks. They do no joke. So we'll go to the United States. You go into the United States. These are all of the photo walks that are happening in the States. So you can go, let's say that you're sitting in Florida and you want to join a walk in Florida. You can go into this Florida area. Those are all of the different walks in that area. And you can keep zooming in, and you can find a bunch of different walks that you can join right from here. So there's a lot of stuff that's happening right in this one area. Now, what I want to do is I want to find our walk. Right, so we have a walk that we're doing. I'm going to go ahead and go over here. I'm going to zoom out. And I could do this. Watch, I'm going to type in Ybor. I'm going to hit Ybor, and I'm going to search for the map. And what that'll do is it'll bring up a walk that I'm actually doing. I'm joining a walk this year. Yeah. I usually lead a walk, but I'm actually joining a walk now with Pete Collins and Corey Barker. And they're doing a different type of a walk. What they're doing is they're doing a walk with a smartphone. So what we'll do here is we're just, instead of actually walking around with a DSLR, what they're going to do is they're just going to carry an actual
camera phone.
Yeah. That's it. And right? Have you seen these things? These things are awesome. Look, so it's an auto clip, right? So you do this, right? You have your regular camera, you set it up, and then you take this guy and you put it on this, and it doubles the field of view.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice. And then you flip it, and
that's a shot you probably don't want.
Right? It's a fish shot.
That's nice.
Right? You take this off.
Where do I get one of those at?
Dude, holoclip.com. We're going to take that in a second. I'm sorry that turns into a giant commercial.
I love that.
But these things are awesome because you take this off and it turns it into a macro.
Wow.
And I'm going to carry this with me. They have another one that does 2x zoom, right? And we'll bring up the site for you to. Ooh, look at that.
Nice. There you go.
All right, it's pretty neat.
That's great.
It's pretty neat. But I'll show the effects on that. But I'm going to carry that with me. So this is my one weapon of choice for the photo walk. And I bring this up to tell you guys, go to the Worldwide Photo Walk website. Go to worldwidephotoWalk.com. Go take a look at a city. Find one. If you don't have a DSLR camera, it doesn't matter.
It's not
Use
just for
your
pros.
phone. Yeah, it's not just for pros. Use your
Great.
phone. Go out,
Awesome.
and this is a social event. I'm also going to be using this bad boy that I just got. Look.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And Brad's been rolling his eyes at me the entire time. So, right, Windows phone.
Lumia, Nokia Lumia.
Yeah, the Lumia 10, 1020. So this shoots 41 megapixels. 41 megapixels? My phone. I'm set. This is going to be really, really cool.
You're ready to go.
But anyway, guys, so I wanted to bring Brad out here. I wanted to introduce him because he's an unsung hero for the Worldwide Photo Walk. So, and it's one of those things where it's like, I wanted to say thanks for putting this all together. You still have a lot of time.
Yeah.
Make sure you go take a look at the Photo Walk website and come right in. Now, we'll take a break. When we come back, we're going to have Frank Salas here. Now, Frank does weddings, and he's really, really good about this, about the adventure in the entire photography space. But what I'm thinking is, I want to bring somebody up who just had something happen to them. Actually, do we want to do that now? Yes. Do we want to do that now? Let's bring him now.
Wait,
let's bring him.
Do I have to get up? Yes. Crap, I didn't wear pants.
I was going to be like, whoa. All right.
Not good.
So let's do it now. This will be cool. All right, so this is Mark. I want to introduce everybody to Mark here. Mark, what's going on? How you doing?
Pretty good, man.
Good.
It's an honor to be on the other side of the camera.
Hey, man, it's great. So Mark is one of our video guys here. So he works on editing, and he does shooting. He does pretty much everything. Doesn't matter what it is. Photography, video, this guy's the guy. He makes us look good. Now, you also spend a lot of time doing freelancing.
That's right.
So you spend a lot of time freelancing in photography or video?
I do photos every once in a while, but more so video work.
Okay,
Weddings, that kind of thing, live events.
Okay, weddings and live events. All right. So we were talking about this at lunch.
Right, exactly.
I figured rather than me talk about it, Mark, tell us your story. Tell us what happened to you. Now, this is all in the spirit of wedding photos. So wedding photography. Tell us about your experience.
All right, so I'll just try to give you the Spark Notes version of it. The other day I'm filming a wedding. It's an indoor environment, very, very dark, and I had a bit of a run-in with the photographer. So
Okay, video.
yeah, I'm doing the video, and I have a run-in with the photographer.
How many photographers?
There's 3 of them.
Okay, 3 photographers.
Okay, and so bottom line, here's what happens. Ceremony is beginning, and a little bit shortly beforehand, we kind of have a plan. How is he going to set up the lights so we don't run into each other and that kind of thing?
Okay, so back me up here for a
Yeah.
second. So tell me about the setup. Just picture it. So picture you're in a wedding. I'm thinking there's 2 rows of seats.
Yep.
Okay, so then there's a left aisle, a middle aisle, right, where they're going to go
Perfect,
down the aisle,
yep.
and then the right aisle.
Exactly.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure that
Yeah,
I'm at it.
absolutely.
Okay.
So he tells me, again, and I'm completely fine with it considering how dark the venue is, he's going to put 1 constant LED light on the left side and another constant LED on the right side. And I'm not too thrilled about it. I mean, it kind of gives it a harsh look. It kind of ruins the dynamic quality of the overall environment. But you know what? It's a dark environment. It is what it is. I accept it.
Okay.
So here's what happens. The ceremony begins, and out of nowhere, he pulls out a 3rd LED light, a 3rd constant LED light, and he plants it right in the back of the venue, facing directly towards the couple, and turns it on full brightness, completely just destroying the overall ambiance of the thing. A very harsh light.
Yeah, sounds
okay, so if that's not bad enough, again, what am I going to do? I just have to move on. I'm not going to interrupt the ceremony, ruin this couple's wedding.
Because you're a professional.
Yes, and at least I would try to be. So in any case,
doing well.
I move on, I continue, and I'm trying to get a good shot. So here's the situation.
No, wait. Back me up here for a second. So you're going down the aisle.
Yep.
You're trying to do video down the aisle. But you can't do video down the aisle because there's this giant LED light that's
just shining
down the aisle, down the aisle, hitting the couple. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So then you give up on the center.
Yeah, because about a few minutes into it, he comes up to me and he taps me and he says, "You're blocking my light. Can you move over?" And again, I mean,
Doesn't sound very cooperative, huh?
Okay.
I don't know what to do here. I'm not
right.
going to interrupt the ceremony. I'm not going to get into a confrontation with him. So I kind of swallow my pride. I move over a little bit, and I try to shoot from a little bit from the side instead. Again, the angle is not that great, but it is what it is. So another minute goes by, and I try to move a little bit closer because I can't shoot from the center. I think, all right, I'll just move a little bit closer and try to shoot more from the side. But of course, he has an assistant photographer with a tripod planted, like sitting down the entire time, sitting on the edge of the 2nd row. So if I go any closer, I'm blocking her shot. So at one point, she taps me and says, "You're in my shot. Can you back up?" So I'm pretty much sandwiched between like this.
Stuck, huh?
Yeah, I can't shoot in the center. I can't shoot up close and onto the side. So finally, I try to work my way more towards the center again. And again, one more time, he taps me and asks me to move. At that point, I very calmly but firmly say, you can't take a constant LED light, plant it in the center, and tell me not to shoot in the center.
Yeah.
And that's, of course, when he says, I have priority.
Wow.
So the second I heard that, whew, I mean, I just have to ask you on behalf of all videographers, RC, Frank, do photographers have priority?
Yes. Yes, dude.
Why not?
Yes,
Why
we
not?
do have priority.
You're better looking, that's why.
Yes, dude. You pushed the little red button. That's all. No, I'm like, no.
kidding,
I wanted
we're
to
kidding.
bring Mark out here because you know what? He's a great guy. He's a hell of a shooter. But this is one of those things that kind of brings up a lot of problems. The entire dynamic between the videographer and the photographer. I don't know about you, but I happen to think that video and photography happen to be just as important.
Yeah, absolutely.
And these kinds of things. So for myself, I would have never have dismissed you in that scenario. But I'm not doing weddings. Like, I'll do one here and now and again. But I mean, you're doing weddings all day long. Is this something that you commonly run into?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that, you know, for me, I think we have equal respect for both the photo and video. And usually I'm always blaming it on the we call the newbies, both parties. Because certainly if you had what I figure is a professional wedding photographer, he would want to work with you and communicate with you because we're both trying to get the great shot. So and that happens vice versa, you know, certainly we have the videographer, and usually, you know, I highly recommend when I meet with my bride, I say, here's a list of maybe 2 or 3 videographers that are going to work with us. And so usually in this case, you know, obviously he's the pro, certainly ran into somebody that wasn't willing to work with him, so.
But here's the thing. You said, how long has this person been doing this in the business?
So after the ceremony, I talked to him about it, and I was just trying to understand his sense of entitlement and really why he felt that he had priority over me. And he just kept saying something along the lines of, I've been in the business for 30 years, I've never had any issues with people like this. And I guess his main defense was that since I was shooting video and I shoot consecutive frames, it's okay if the clip gets ruined for a little bit. Whereas with photography, he says that he only had one shot to get it right. And in my opinion, that kind of just goes to show how much he knows about video, because it's quite the opposite. If you're shooting a video clip and a single frame is ruined, the entire clip is unusable. And
it's like you may not kiss the bride.
Yeah,
you can't use that.
Exactly.
I mean, unless you hiccuped. And at that point, I guess you could.
Different, yeah.
But that sounds weird.
Yeah,
though.
I think that's what it is. I mean, we work with all types, and again, video and photographers, we've both had this back and forth, and again, that's why highly as the studio, that's why I go out of my way when we meet with the bride and say, look, you know, who are you using for video? We'd love to work with them, and usually it's someone that's brand new. Certainly, you're saying it's 30 years. But, you know, that's something that, you know, out of respect, you know, why I go out of my way myself personally, because he or she is just as equal when they're doing the video. But, you know, if that's kind of, you got sideswiped there on the day of the job, that's kind of hard. And that's happened to us too. You know, we try to say, hey, you know, let me know where you're going to be. And if they have 2, 3 people, they've done the same with us too. But it's usually sad. I mean, we're trying to do a great job and nothing less, you know?
It's one thing if maybe it was agreed upon between the couple and the photographer and the videographer, like the couple says, like, okay, you know what, we really care about the photos a little bit more than the video. Is there any chance the photographer can kind of have a bit more priority? If that's something that's arranged ahead of time, I'm completely okay for that. But that conversation never happened, and the videographer, or excuse me, the couple gave me kind of freedom to do whatever I wanted. So there was a communication.
But see, and that's the thing that I think, that's the part that I thought that was interesting, is where do you, let's kind of break it down. Let's go back a little bit and let's talk about this, about the entire concept of priority. Like, where do you, I have an opinion about where I think it comes from, but where do you think, I mean, you've seen it, do you think that there's people that are going into it as a photos first, videos second?
Yeah, I think we talked about that. I mean, it's, you know, there's no secret there. I think the photo industry, you know, from the day one, you know, we felt that, you know, we were the priority, we're the wedding photographers. And I think it's because we felt like we're posing everybody. We've sat and made a list. And videos change, you know, with this, before the video, I think we talked about was more of a documentary of the day, right?
You were recording what was happening.
And now with the new cinematic style, as they call it, you know, it involves a little bit more. So the photographers are getting getting a little bit more heated about it because they're saying, you know, we've scheduled, you know, certain times to pose them, but now the video crew now needs more time to replay maybe some of these scenes, you know. So sometimes if the bride's holding hands, she walks out the church, we can capture it once or twice, and there might be some new, the cinematic style says, okay, hold it, do that another time, do that again. So they feel like they're being infringed on. But again, I still go back to that at a professional level. You know, when we consult with the bride and groom, you know, a lot of this stuff is already resolved in advance so that both parties are, you know, mutually satisfied with it. Because certainly when we gain a lot more when we respect the video, because they're on our side. Sometimes we're using their lights. They got the great LED lights, which I know a lot of us are using, but certainly not in that capacity.
But see, and that was the other thing that I thought was weird. I was just like, if this guy's been doing this 30 years, I've never, I mean, look, I've shot weddings. I've been out there, right? I've first shot, I've second shot. I haven't thrown LEDs down the. Is that
extensive? Yeah, I mean, certainly we're using certain other video lights. I'm sure you've seen photographers are using certain brands of video lights to maybe do some portraits with, right? Certainly the bride and groom. Right. But to light the whole area, I mean, that sounds more film to me.
That sounds construction worker. Yeah, is what it sounds like. Like throwing lights just hit the area so that you don't lose your.
Yeah, I just think, and you know, and ultimately for you, I mean, I look my industry in my world, I look at as long-term relationships. So you know, certainly you're not going to refer this quote-unquote person that's been doing forever. So you know, that's the same in my world. You know, if I've had an experience with a video crew that is not participative and cooperative the day of, you know, I don't want to say it, you know, publicly, but you know, I have my own blacklist. I mean, so when the bride and groom sit with me, I won't badmouth them. But if they say, hey, what do you think between these two videographers, and I do a volume of weddings, you know, you don't want to cross my path because you're not going to get hired next week. Right. You know, because you know you weren't cooperative. And you know, I'm involved with other catering directors, coordinators, and so you know, how can I not say anything to that? I will say something. Hey, be careful not to hire him. So I think for long-term relationship, that's not good, and it's sad because you know you were going to do a great job, and he or she didn't give you a chance.
Absolutely. So, and I think just like you're saying, it's mutually beneficial to work together because if we're stepping on each other's toes the whole time, he can't get the photos that he wants, and I can't get the video that I want, and neither of us come out winning. So
yeah, and I think that's the part that's sad. And the only thing I was going to add, I was going to contribute to this, and we had talked about this earlier too, was that I think that in the middle of it, I think sometimes people see photography over video in that. Historically, video was never video has never been around before photography. Like there was a point where people captured weddings and it was just pictures. That's all you had. Correct, you rarely had video, but then if you had video, you had the, like you said, documentarian thing. Yep. So I think that when you get married, that's what's going to happen. And I always point that when you get married because people were turning around and go, any single ladies? No, I'm totally good. But it's
you need a wedding photographer,
right? Hook it up.
Touche.
So, but what happens with this is that a lot of the times is you'll see people that go into wedding photographers and are sitting there going, I have this money. This is all the money that I have. I'm going to try to get the best package that I get for the photography, and if I could get video, then I'll take this and I'll add to that. And I think that there's been that mentality for such a long time about I'll get this from my photography and I'll add this for the video.
It's always been an afterthought, for sure.
It's always been an afterthought. But I think that up until, and you had brought that up, where we talked about technology is getting a lot better.
Oh, absolutely.
Technology is getting a lot better. You're beginning to see the production of video get a lot better. And as you're doing that, Brad turned me on to somebody on a guest blog post. Brad, what was his name? Rob Adams. Phenomenal. If you haven't seen it, go to scottkelby.com, take a look at Rob Adams' guest blog post. The videos that this guy's doing are just stunning. So the landscape's changing with that kind of stuff. Absolutely. And I think that you and Rob Adams and those people are kind of ushering in this new era where people are going to have to take a look at that. They're going to have to consider that stuff. And unfortunately, it doesn't sound like it was here. But I had to bring you on. I had to talk to Frank about it and be like, is this common? Is this entire war with the photographer and the videographer?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's funny. You know, no one will publicly admit it, any wedding photographer that they're only going to say to you, we hate videographers. But you know, I say the same thing. The photographers are going to tell you. The video people say the same thing. We hate photographers. So there's so much to gain to introduce yourself. And again, build your own. If you don't want to work with all these videographers, then refer your video people you want to work with. But to me, there's just too much to gain. The video people that they're watching, they know who they are that work with me. We love each other. I mean, it's great. We laugh all day. We have fun all day long. In fact, sometimes they'll ask to use my assistant. We share stuff. I mean, so it really becomes a great thing that we enjoy the day together. And get great stuff for the bride, But unfortunately, we're always going to have that where someone's not a role player with us. And what can you do? You can just try to do what I do in advance, is try to communicate, make some referrals, recommendations, communicate with the bride and say, look, I'll do whatever you want me to do. Who's doing your video? Let's communicate with them.
So I'm going to communicate. I'm going to communicate to you, photographer, whatever that photographer was that was out there that did this to poor Mark.
Poor Mark.
Rule number 1. Don't show up to a wedding with 3 constant lights hitting it like a construction set. I would recommend to you that you go to our show sponsor, Kelby Training. Go to kelbytraining.com. If you're having a hard time with lights, we've got Cliff Mountner, we've got Dave Zeiser, we've got a ton of different people that will take your lighting to the next level. So that's number 1. Don't show up with that, because that's not going to help you. Number 2. Exercise some compassion for this guy. No, I'm totally kidding. No, because I think that you did the right thing, and I think that that's the point. The takeaway for you guys is, if you're out there, make sure you let your intentions known in advance, which you did. Make sure that you put yourself into a position where you feel like you both understand that you're working for the bride, which you did. Absolutely. Make sure that you try to be as malleable and agreeable, moving around, getting to a different shot.
Yeah.
To not make a scene for the lady who's getting married and the gentleman who's getting married in the front, which you did, and understand that sometimes you're just going to run into that guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because he seems like a great guy. So, I mean, we work together.
Sir.
Man, I would say, hey, we'd be high-fiving each other. So, yeah, I think you're right. You're going to get that bad apple. And, and sometimes we've always said, if it got to a point, because we talk about family members doing this now, and what I have to do sometimes there, if we got family members coming out of control, I just politely say to the bride, by the way, whether it's the video or whatever, try and get a few shots, you may want to bring it to their attention. Maybe that's something you may do, but that's.
But see, and that brings us to our break. When we come back, now obviously we're going to have you scut a lot, but thank you so much for that stuff. Do you have a website? Do you have something that we can bring you to?
Cinematicjourney.com.
Cinematicjourney.com. That's where you can find more of your stuff. Thanks, Mark, for stopping by.
I appreciate it.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I'm going to talk to you guys about the real scourge in wedding photography. That's your uncle. Stick around. We'll be right back.
I'm going to high five you.
Hi everybody, Scott Kelby here, and I want to invite you to the world's largest photography event. It's my 6th annual Worldwide Photo Walk.
All right, let's go!
Now, if you're wondering what a photo walk is, it's actually a social event. It's a gathering of photographers in your area. You usually meet in like a downtown area or a business area, zoo, a lake, anywhere, and you all walk around for about 2 hours taking pictures. At the end of the walk, you usually meet at a local restaurant or a bar or a tavern just to hang out, make new friends, maybe share some photos, and kind of look back on the whole experience. If you want to take the fun up a notch, you can enter the photo competition. Just pick your favorite photo that you took during the 2-hour walk, upload it to the site, and the leader's going to pick a winner. That winner's going to get a digital copy of my brand new book. Once those cities from around the world have all uploaded their photos, I'm going to pick a grand prize winner and 10 finalists who are going to share in thousands of dollars worth of prizes. To see if there's a walk in your city, check the Worldwide Photo Walk website. And if you don't see your city listed for a photo walk, sign up right there at the Photo Walk website, and maybe you can host a walk in your city. The best thing about all of this is participation is absolutely free. All you have to do is go to the Worldwide Photo Walk website, find your city, sign up, and then join me on the official photo walk date. It's Saturday, October 5th, 2013. So I hope you'll join me and thousands of photo walkers from all around the world on that Saturday as we make photographic history once again. I'm Scott Kelby, and I hope to see you there.
take a look. Right. So this is the setup, right? Hey, welcome back, everybody on the grid. So I got to show this to Frank. So watch this. Watch. I'm going to swipe over here, right? And then I'm going to go here, AirPlay. And then I'm going to AirPlay to Video Control Room, right? So you can see this. I'll turn my mirroring on. Now, they should be seeing me in the control room, right? So watch this. I'm going to go to my camera. I'm going to bring my camera up here. Can they see that in the control room? God, I hope so. Right. So you see the camera right there? Watch this. So there's the camera. So you see how you see the teleprompter?
Yeah.
And you see the screen right there. Watch this. I'm going to grab this right here, and I'm going to put it right on top of this. Now watch. Bam.
Oh, there you go. A little
See?
wide angle.
Look at that.
Nice.
Now watch what happens when I flip it. Watch. There's normal. Now flip it.
There you
Fish
go.
eye.
Fish eye. There you go.
Pull it out. Watch this. The zoom. Put the zoom on. Boom.
Nice. Isn't
that cool?
That's great. I need to order one of those.
I know, dude. They were pretty neat.
My next toy there. I'm going to write that down.
I had to show that. I had to show that live because I thought it was kind of neat. So if you haven't seen it, make sure you take a look at it. It's over at oloclip.com.
Nice.
Let's see. We've talked a little bit about this photographer, videographer. Let's talk about you a little bit. So you're in Orange County, California?
Yep.
Where specifically?
Well, we're in the OC, and of course, I have my studios at Irvine, California, but most of the time I'm really close to Laguna Beach, so people know the OC or Laguna Beach.
Okay.
So we're in the very cool. South part, yeah.
And wedding photographer?
Yeah, absolutely.
Busy?
Yeah, very busy.
Busy. No, you're different in that you have. I think you were doing an interview with Mia McCormick.
Correct. Yeah.
And you said that you also have a gallery.
Correct. Yeah,
right.
So the studio location. Correct.
So you have a studio location, and that was something that I thought that was really interesting. We were taking a look at your work, and I was just like, wow, I don't know that many people that have a gallery.
Exactly.
That was pretty neat.
Yeah. Well, I mean, originally that's everybody's goal as a photographer, right? You open a studio, a location, and go to, and of course now with the internet and everybody having a website, that is their storefront. So a lot of feel the need that they don't need that. But I was originally doing as well high school seniors, children portraits, and a lot of it was all studio based originally. So you kind of felt a little awkward having, the high school senior go to your house.
Right.
And so by having a studio location, it kind of validated you as a professional photographer. So not necessarily I would tell the first people starting out to do it, but it's a gallery. So when the client is, in this case, a bride who's shopping around multiple photographers, it's been great because now they come in, it looks professional. They come in, we have albums on display, wall portraits on display, and everything is dedicated to enlargements. And that's actually helped me because I always get that question all the time where people do weddings. They say, well, the bride just wants me to give them a CD. And the opposite for me, because when they come to a studio, I think the problem has been because they have no idea what to do with the photos. So they want an electronic copy. But when they come to a gallery, they say, hey, maybe I'd like one of those enlargements. Maybe I would like one of those albums. So I have more products on display.
Okay.
And now it gives them a solution other than just wanting a CD from the pictures.
See, and now I feel really, really bad because that's always been my biggest problem. I'm design challenged. So here's this thing, right? So we did this contest. Now, I went to MPix and I ordered all of this stuff through MPix. They sent it over to my house. I literally had stacks of stuff sitting in my house. And I'm like, I have no idea. I had no idea what sizes I picked.
Right.
I had no idea of how to be able to set everything up. And it was one of those things, if I go back and I think to my wedding pictures, I would have never thought to order as big of a print as I did of this one thing.
There you go.
Had not MPix recommended all this kind of stuff, and we love you guys, thank you very much for that. Had they not recommended the sizes to do stuff, I wouldn't have known. But by you having it all set up, it kind of pre-visualizes.
Absolutely, yeah, because you got to remember, I started with film.
Okay.
So when we shot...
Wait, hold on. You're still shooting... Are you still shooting film?
I'm digital now.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, wow.
But, after this is 30 years now, the first 20 years was film photography. So the portrait and wedding photographers back then, we would only probably show them a couple hundred photos, and we would make 4x5s or 4x6 prints. They would look at them, and then the couples would want to actually order something from it. They would want to order enlargements. There's no such thing as iPads or websites.
Right.
So the world of photography before digital was about printing. That's the way we displayed pictures in our home. So the good thing about digital and the bad thing was obviously that is now people want electronically. And I always say to my clients, and I feel wholeheartedly about this, that my work has no value until I print it. So that's what's happened. So, but today's problems with the digital is that, for the wedding photographers, that a client may just say, give me the disc. And my solution is that either the new photographers didn't know that back then that was what photographers did, is we made prints for both display and archival. So now when they come to the digital today, they're like, okay, just put on the disc. But the beauty they miss out. How many of us don't? I mean, when you get enlarged, isn't that beautiful when MPix makes you a large print?
Oh my God, dude, it's awesome.
How do you compare that to being on a screen? So when you come to my studio, I have 40 by 60 bridal prints on display when a bride comes in who doesn't want it, in all sizes. So I think that we've given them a solution. And I think that's the problem with the digital photographer, that if they're not giving them a solution, of course it's by default that they say, email me or send me a disc, because they have no idea what to do with it. So if we don't educate them or show them the products.
I think to some degree it's almost kind of like the photography of reduced expectations. It's like last week we did a show on printing. We were talking about the entire concept of printing. So Scott prints, I print, Brad print, Matt, we all print, right? We're all doing printing. But it's one of those things where it really doesn't feel finished until you kind of see it. And I feel horrible. I feel like the biggest fraud about it, because I'm the person who's sitting there going, look, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this. And if you came to my house, it literally would look like Al-Qaeda. Like, it was like all white walls, nothing went up. It was horrible. Like, I'd walk in and my wife would be like, hey, so are we gonna do anything here at any point? And I'd be like, I don't know what to do. It was like the cobbler's kids. It was where to start. And only until I'm sitting there printing, and I'm printing, and I'm just sending it out, printing and sending it out, printing and sending it out. And finally, it was like I had this one moment where I'm like, let me put it up on the wall. And I was like, and when it went on the wall, I was just like, I feel so much better about this. So I think that that's really neat to be able to do that. But now, how do people do that now? I mean, you're seeing a lot of wedding photographers that are doing it out of their home.
Yeah, well, I see the struggles of the new generation of the wedding photographers. Again, that's kind of their complaint, is that we've taken the wedding pictures, the bride just wants a CD and email it, and which, we all get that question. But because I went out of my way for the opposite, I even have boxes of 4x6 prints. And when I pull that out and show a customer, I tease them, because I'll open the box and I say, have you guys ever seen these before? And the parents that are sitting with them, the mom or the dad, they're like, oh, we remember those. And the bride's like, oh my God. Just by the reaction already tells me that this is what's happening right now. So I'm kind of going backwards in the sense of product-wise. I mean, I never left it, but I'm pushing the products more, and now they're all excited about it. And then obviously, if you're trying to make a profit in wedding photography, and you're wondering why you're only doing the shoot and burn, well, it's because you have nothing to sell, and you're not as excited about it. There's no products that gets them excited. So that's what we're very successful at, is that we're giving someone something to display with in their home.
Yeah, and I think it dismisses also. It dismisses what you do. I mean, there's something to be said about, hey, you want to send me the picture? Here you go. Picture's done, but I mean, a print.
Oh man, yeah, it's gorgeous.
There's something to be said for that. Hey, listen, we've got a couple questions that are coming in here off of the chat. Obviously, if you guys are watching, make sure that you're in the chat. Any question that you have for Frank Salas, fair game. Yes, I've already seen the one that says, why am I not wearing a suit? I've worn a suit for a very long time. One of the things that I said to myself is, I'm giving up on shoes. And I'm giving up on suits. That was the concession that I made to move to Tampa, Florida. Shoes and suits. So neither of those, unless I'm going on a job interview.
Hopefully not soon, right?
Right? I hope not. Anyway, Irish Mike, NYC, says, Bruce Wayne is telling people don't use bat lights at weddings. What? Oh, Bruce Wayne. Wow, you do have a very good Bruce Wayne look to you.
I wish.
He's the next Batman.
Nice.
That's pretty good.
Nice.
All right. So here's another thing that I wanted to talk to you about, because I thought it was interesting. We had the conversation at lunch, and we said, all right. So this photographer, bad seed, bad day, whatever it was. And then you kind of gave me one of those kind of like neck cracks, and you're like, you know who's really causing the problem?
There you go.
And I hadn't heard about this. So talk to me a little bit about that. Is that really a problem?
Yeah,
in the wedding industry.
Exactly. I think this will be great for those listening right now, because RC had great stuff. We're talking about the video portion. And then when I all of a sudden, like he said during lunch, I looked over and I said, wait a minute, you want to hear what's really the discussion right now? And the discussion, I know if you wedding photographers are listening, you'll see this, about how about all the uncles and the aunts and the friends and the guests showing up to the weddings with their iPhones, standing out in the middle of the aisle, right when you're getting ready to get that great shot of the kiss. Who's leaning over in the aisle is all the aunts and uncles. So I think that's been the biggest thing and we've always had family members taking pictures, but now when you've got a majority of them doing it and getting in the way, that's been the biggest discussion right now. And of course, we want to be polite and we welcome it.
And it's not just. I mean, dude, could you imagine? Could you imagine showing up to a wedding with this? You can knock out 41 megapixels here. I'm doing 24 by 30s out of my phone, but you're also seeing
pro cameras, sure.
Pro gear.
Oh, absolutely. I've had a father sitting in the front row with a Mark III, and he's as soon as he walked his daughter, he sat down, the mom hands him a camera, and he's taking pictures. So it's certainly that's the big discussion I think that most of the wedding photographers are seeing. In fact, it's almost like we want to send out a public announcement and say, look, when you're a guest at a wedding, leave the cameras at home, leave your cell phones at home, go and be a guest and enjoy it, because the bride has hired a professional photographer for a reason. Right? She's done her homework, she's paid a lot of money, and if other guests are kind of getting in his way or her way, that's actually doing the bride and groom a disservice. So in essence, yeah, you even the friend that they always have the friend that he does or she does photography.
You always know a guy, yeah.
I know a guy, and don't worry, Frank, he's just going to second shoot on the side. He or she's in all the pictures. So again, I know that a lot of you are laughing about that and saying, man, you're so right. But, and again, and due respect, of course, we want to make sure the families take their pictures. But that's the thing right now, is that we have so many people photographing with iPads, iPhones, and
yeah, I got the listen, Uncle Joe's over there, and he's just going to shoot a couple pictures. You know what? If you want, he'll even send them to you. And you can put them together with your stuff. And, if there's anything good that he got, you can totally use it. And I'm like, I've got 2,000 shots of my own that I got to go through. I'm not going through Uncle Joe's 300 shots. So it's always been, it's been a little bit of an issue. But that's got to be a hard line to toe with people. Like, how do you tell somebody, like, if I'm sitting at the church and I'm like this, and somebody goes, don't take it. I'm like, it's my moment, punk. I'm like, come on, man.
Exactly.
How do,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like I said, it's,
how do you stop them?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I we try to work with it. I joke about it. And yes, it is a pain, of course. But we work with it because, if this was my nephew or niece getting married, I'm in the audience, of course, I don't mind them taking the picture.
Yeah, but you're Frank Salas, come on. I'm like, come on, man. You're like, they're going to hope that somebody throws a camera at you, go, oh, wait, I got this, hold up.
I'll stand up with my 300 from the back. So.
There you go.
But no, so we, again, and most of us who are doing it professionally, we want to continue a great relationship with the venues we're at and the couples, and more importantly, we want to create a relationship with their friends and family. So we don't want to be that jerk photographer. So who knows where it's going to lead? I'm not doing it and saying that because we think their pictures will be better, because they've always been taking pictures and nothing's changed.
Nothing
right? You've
changed
always
there.
had someone show up. So that's not it. It's just annoying. Let's put it that way. Just annoying because they're getting in the way, and we just want a great shot for the bride and groom.
But see, and that's the thing I think that's the one takeaway. If we could figure out a good way to be able to get to people to tell them, listen, you can do this all you want. No one's ever stopping you to do this. But just understand that we're all doing this for them.
Correct. Yeah.
So in the best, if we can just agree that maybe this time, maybe this moment, I don't know, like I'm thinking about it and I'm like, maybe a flyer, maybe something like.
Well, some I mean, there are a couple of great pastors that do ceremonies. Of course, some churches already do that anyways, and they did that. They're not thinking of this, but some churches will say, please, there's no flash photography. So there are some churches are doing that. Some pastors said, please. But, there's I think if she or the bride and groom said to their minister or pastor, could you please make that announcement out of respect? Could you please not take photography during my ceremony? I think that's great. And I have been to weddings already, maybe due to them not wanting to be in the public eye, say you're checking in your iPhone when you get in. So when you check in at the guest book, you're leaving in a basket your iPhones or any mobile device. So that has happened before, and for rightful reasons. They don't want their images on Facebook for whatever their notoriety is.
Right.
But ultimately,
like the Suge Knight wedding,
right? Yeah, right.
But that's wild. But that's interesting that you're beginning to see it. The pastor, I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, you can make an announcement to them, say, again, out of respect, could you please not take pictures? Please
Frank Salas has got this.
I'm here.
Just everybody put it all away. He's going to knock this out real quick.
Yeah. But, it's social networking. Right? let's face it. We all can't wait to take that perfect Instagram or Facebook photo and publicize. In fact, here's another thing that wedding photographers have probably already heard, is that how about when we're in the dressing room and the bride's getting dressed a couple hours before the wedding, you'll hear the bride say to the bridesmaids, you can take my picture, but don't post that. Because you imagine some bridesmaid posting the bride's picture in advance, the guests coming to the ceremony haven't seen the bride yet, but they see her on Instagram or Facebook.
Wow.
So now they're so much for the surprise because they would already have seen the bride. So I hear that a lot from the bride, controlling her friends because then they're going to see the bride before the ceremony.
Wow.
So
wow,
that
wow,
I hear.
wow.
They're protecting that. So maybe we just need to step it up. And I know a lot of us photographers talk about in our contracts. Seems like with digital, we have
a social and digital strategy.
You know, we might have to go that direction.
Dude, I like it. I like it. Hey, listen, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we've got more of a conversation with Frank Salas. Stick around. Welcome back, everybody. RC here on the grid. We're having a conversation with OC wedding photographer, Mr. Frank Salas. Hey, it's been very, very revelatory for me. I'm thinking about this entire social media strategy. I didn't know people were getting that much into it. Don't post on Instagram.
Yeah, I mean, because if you imagine the bride getting dressed and then the bridesmaids all, trust me, in fact, I even go out of my way to get pictures of them taking the picture, because it makes a cute photo in the album of you can see four or five bridesmaids. Yeah, 4 or 5 bridesmaids standing there all dressed up with their phones. So I see them taking it behind me, and I said, hold it, let me get a picture of that, and I'll turn around and get a picture of that. It makes a great shot. But certainly the brides are always concerned that don't post anything
it's
yet.
Like wedding dress inception.
Yeah, right?
It's great. But hey, listen, we got a couple more questions here, okay? Richard Dukeshire, it is hard breaking into the wedding photography market. What is the first thing a photographer should do when looking at becoming a wedding photographer?
Yeah, that's a good question, a great question. I say a couple of things. One, anybody who is doing wedding photography or starting it is, continue your education. I mean, that to me, you want to become first and foremost a good photographer.
Kind of like photography school?
Could be Calby training, could be your local college, any seminars, conventions, Photoshop World I go to. This was my 8th year in a row going to Photoshop World, so I'm addicted to it.
So I think that's great.
I love it, right? I keep my passes. I keep my passes,
Do you really?
So I got the alumni now. I'm proud of my
pass, nice. So. Hey, time for 1 second before I say anything else. Calby Training. We know we mentioned it. They're a sponsor. We love them. Flip over to the Calby Training website. Make sure that you take a look at that, because we're going to see some stuff from you there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we're recording as we speak a wedding class. So maybe going back to Richard's question, we'll have a wedding essential course be up there soon.
Right. So if you want to take a look at this kind of stuff, get up to speed by going over to calbytraining.com. That's going to be a great place. But other things, what else can they do if they wanted to kind of just get up there and start?
Yeah, again, that's always a great question. I get the graduating, some students from Brooks Institute come to my office each year, and they'll sign up to do a studio tour. And that's one of the questions they ask me. Now that we've got the equipment now, certainly that's the first thing we go out and do. But, 2 things, as I mentioned. One, continue educating yourself and learn the skills of photography. You can only emulate so much, but at a certain point in which, they're going to say, wait a minute, my friend can do this as well. But number 2 is educate yourself in both the sales and marketing and business part of it, because now that let's say you're the best photographer out there, and you think your pictures just rock it out, but now how do you get your phone to ring? Or in this case, how do you get emails?
Right.
So, we've certainly had the great websites, so hopefully people are continuing websites. Social networking is free. I mean, when I started my business, there was no internet. So when people ask me, how did you start your business? It was a traditional business and marketing.
Mailers,
lists. Flyers.
I remember making mailers.
I still do bridal events. I'm there in person, because you can't beat that one-to-one contact. And if you're a part of a bridal industry in your community that has associations, you have to go out there and network with them on the traditional way. There's nothing beats meeting face-to-face. Again, and figure out how you can meet more people like that, whether it's catering directors, coordinators, even your fellow videographers. Talking about this incident that, if I want to make him my best friend, Because if that person that is doing weddings as well, guess when they need a photographer, who are they going to ask him? So I make best friends sincerely with all my vendors. You know, I appreciate all of them. We work together as a team. They're the cheerleaders for you. So really getting out there and verbally meeting people in person, that's more valuable if you just stick to the internet, because the internet is, you're just mixed in with everybody else.
And I think that that's one of those things where you're beginning to see a lot of this kind of stuff. Like, so in my background, right? So before I did all of this kind of stuff, right? I did IT work, but then I also did some shoot work out of a studio where I was doing like children's portraiture and commercial portraiture. Every now and again, I do a wedding and we do stuff. And so I was at the tail end of a lot of that, you know, marketing and mailers and sending stuff out and going to an expo and going to see different places. But there's no mistaking the fact that you still have to do that. You still have to kind of go out there in your local scene and go, hi, my name's RC. Hi, my name is Frank Salas. I'm a wedding photographer. This is what I do. Even though the internet is a good allure for just put it up and they will come.
Correct.
That's not going to happen in your local neighborhood if this is what you're doing. You got to kind of get out there and you got to hustle and do that. So
yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I say that because I started from the, as they say, traditional marketing, but it's still relevant today. You know, I've embraced the social networking absolutely because it's free. I mean, I had to pay for it, and I still pay for magazine ads, bridal events, but nothing beats that contact with person meeting the bride, because then you get to sell yourself. On the internet, everybody look at the same photos. I think you'll hear them say that all the photos almost look the same. So how do you differentiate yourself? And that's by, once I meet with them, talking about the way you look. These are little tips for me that when I meet them, you know, you want to look professional. I mean, I know that sounds kind of redundant, but you know,
these days it seems like it's almost offensive. I feel like sometimes I'm like, Cody, are you kidding me?
I know.
Well, here's a perfect example. And Cody, I know you didn't mean it this way. I know that you meant different, right? Cody Ash says, does Frank dress like this for weddings? I tend to go business casual, now full suit.
Yeah.
But you want to be taken seriously.
See, in fact, you can see what RC just said here. The fact that you dress like that is exactly, you said it yourself. You want to be taken seriously. And the short of it is that when I started solo at a young age, you know, literally I'm 19, 20 years old, 21, shooting weddings, you know, I felt that I had to do everything I could to look professional and be taken serious. So that just stayed to that point. And then it dawned on me that I wanted to project the image that the people that I wanted to work with. So if you're looking on TV and saying, how do you get these $1 million weddings, all this fancy, and I do all weddings. I'm not that type. I'll do a small house wedding. I love it just as much. But it's just one of those things. If you take traditional business courses, which I have, that's 101, you know, is look the part. Now, yeah, I have great friends, photographers in Hawaii, and certainly they'll wear aloha shirts. They look great. But it depends what area you're at. It depends on the clientele you want to attract. I'm in Southern California. You know, everybody make sure they're
This
fit.
is business casual.
This is business casual for me. I'm not wearing a tux right now, but I just feel, I love it. I feel that it gives you confidence. I feel that you just said it, the image, the professionalism. And that's what I've always elevated to wedding photographers. You know, there was a point where it was just wearing black pants, black shirt, and look artsy. And that's fine. I'm not against that. But if the bride is visiting you and 2 other photographers, and all of them were wearing the alohas or whatever, that's fine. You know, I just want to make sure that, you know, I'm going to beat you. I'm going to make sure that everything, whether it was the way you looked, my studio, every presentation was going to be really tight. And so that's why I just, you know, I love it. And
yeah,
so,
see, and that's the thing. It's like just a tandem jump. When I came to work here, right, I used to, now just background, right? Prior to working here, and as soon as I leave here and I go home, there's a very, very good chance that I'm wearing bandanas. I'm usually wearing an earring.
Nice.
I have boots, jeans. I was like a motorcycle guy for as long as I can remember, right?
Nice.
That was me prior, and then I go to work. I used to work at IBM, and it was like suit. I come home, bandana. So it was always this big dichotomy, right? And when I came to Photoshop World, when I was walking around as an Indian Photoshop World, it'd be like bandana, jeans, and stuff like that. Nice. And I came to interview for Scott. And one of the first impressions that I did, because he called me down and he was just like, listen, I want you to meet me in Vegas and let's do an interview. And I walked in, and as I walked in a full suit.
Oh, wow.
I was like full suit, like the whole nine. Everything was all set up with like a little briefcase. With a briefcase. Inside my briefcase, I had like Reese's Pieces or like something else. But it was just like, don't make me open my briefcase because there's nothing in it. But I had my briefcase in the whole nine, and he was just like, I still remember his first words were just, dude, you dressed up in a suit. And I remember looking dead at him again and going, you said this was important. And that's the message that you want to send out to whoever it is that's out there. So by whatever means, you can get that message out. If I have to see you and I see people dressed in black and I see you, I'm going to be like, that guy's got something going on. I'll be able to figure out. And then that's the one punch. Yeah. And then the two punch is your work.
Exactly, yeah. And I tell people too, I mean, like I said, I make fun of it. My friends make fun of it too. But you know what's probably just as more important to it is, be yourself. Mm-hmm. We don't want to be like everybody else. I mean, be yourself. I mean, if you feel comfortable with that, that's your image. I mean, certainly just, get a clean haircut and make sure your shoes look decent. I mean, you can be, but you know what I mean? Be yourself and just be the best you can be. I mean, I think that's, a brides and groom can see that, if you're trying to be too fake and, they can see that, if it's you, I mean, they'll know that.
You wear a suit well.
Thank you.
You wear a suit. Well, you know who else? Dave Zeiser. Dave Zeiser sleeps in a suit.
Yeah, he does.
That boy sleeps in a suit. That is awesome.
And one last thing about that, in fact, David Zeiser, I mean, I've admired David Zeiser for years, like we all have, and he's one of the original top wedding photographers, still is, and those are the people that I looked at then. Mm-hmm. You had the Monty Zuckers, again, the David Zeiser. These are the pros that I looked up back then, and that was the staple of that back then. Mm-hmm. In the pre-digital days. That was it. You'd have someone like them come out and say, look, be professional. I go to the nicest venues, Clay Blackmore. Mm-hmm. They look great, these guys. Mm-hmm. Work with Monty. The same thing. That was the original. We don't have to tell them that. They started that. So that was the pre-days, and then we ended up getting into this rock star era, and where people wanted to show up. And again, I'm not making fun of that because that's your thing. But, when I meet with a bride's mom and dad, and you meet with a dad, he's going to look at you. Dad knows what time it is, right? He's going to say, okay, I'm going to pay you how much money here? And, and so, again, you're
not charging 10,000 weddings showing up in hipster clothing. You're going to actually, if you want to charge some work, the best way for you to charge some work is to look the part. Yeah. Let's take a quick question here. Jim Curran says, Frank, what qualities or characteristics make you a successful photographer businessman? What is your biggest challenge? What characteristics would you say?
Well, I think I was telling Mia during my interview earlier that, when you're building relationships with everybody in your industry, instead of making selective relationships, in other words, if you're the catering director, but next 2 or 3 is a video guy standing there, you don't even make eye contact with them, people know that. And I think what's helped me in my industry is that, build relationships with everybody. And I told her a story this morning, a brief one, that a bride just hired me. And when the bride went home and told the dad, and the dad just told the family, yeah, we've hired Frank to do the photography, the brother overheard. And the brother said, wait a minute, that's Frank Salas? He says, the brother happened to be valet parking at the Ritz-Carlton for the last 15 years. And he said, you know what? He goes, I love that guy. He's such a nice guy. He tipped me really well. And so whether it's the wait staff, the valet people, I've built relationships with everybody, not selectively. And I think if you build relationships with everybody like that, they see that. That adds up. But the ones that have kind of an attitude, that's what I make fun of that. Sorry, they're too good for everybody else. That doesn't go too far. So that's helped me in my business is everybody I've encountered, I've been able to been sincere with them and create a great relationship with them.
So a challenge, what would be hard? What would be hard for you?
The challenge, I think the challenge is your personal challenge. You're putting roadblocks on yourself. I mean, if you want to become a successful wedding photographer, go educate yourself. As I said, I go to Photoshop World 8 years in a row, and I do that for a reason. I pay for it myself. I go to the other Imaging USA. I go to WPPI. I pay for that. And I pay for education, and I go as a student, and of course I speak as well. But I still want to hear what's available. But the challenge is really yourself. You've got to educate yourself. And talking about one last thing about talking about advertising, you could be the best photographer in the world, but if you're not promoting and advertising, you're the best kept secret. So when people ask me, why do you still do shows, Frank? Why do you still advertise? Well, because you wouldn't know who I was. You'd forget about me.
So that could be a very, very big challenge in of itself. It's just, but I love that. You could be the best photographer to the best kept secret.
Yeah, because nobody would know about you.
That's interesting. I'm horrible about touting my, like, I'm cool here. Like, I've actually, like, after 6 years, I'm cool with going, all right, let me tell you about MPICs. Let me talk to you about this. Let me talk to you about computers or whatever. But when it comes to, like, talking about me, I'm always just like, I shoot pictures sometimes. I'm horrible. Yeah. I'm horrible at that. Skylar Bunk says, I just shot a wedding this past weekend where the bride's brother-in-law was an amateur photographer. And at the rehearsal, the bride asked that all people interested in taking pictures should please respect my assistant and our job. Whoa. The bride asked, should please. It immediately cleared the air. Go bride.
Wow, good for her.
That's pretty good.
That's great.
So,
and and that's what happens when the bride knows you're professional about it. You've communicated, which I'm doing in my course. I'm giving you the outline of the schedule of the wedding. The players of the wedding, families. When you've done it all professionally, the bride's paid you a lot of money. She respects that, So
wait. Back up. What are you talking about schedule?
Well, like we sit with her and go over the what I'm going to photograph the day of the wedding.
Okay.
A schedule of the day, a timeline of the day.
Okay.
We get another wedding party form I have him fill out, which gives me his side, her side. In other words, you've gone through all this extensive planning. You know names. I got the names.
You know relationships.
You have all that on there.
She knows exactly what you're going to shoot.
And plus, and you're at the level where they're paying you quite a bit. The bride says, hey, you're like that's my investment there. Don't mess them up. I just paid for the photography. So that's obviously the benefit as you improve your work, as you start getting a little bit more higher end brides, as you would.
Quick side note. Yeah. Obviously, these are all softball questions. I'm just trying to tell you guys, this is why you want to take a look at Frank's class. These are things, I've seen people show up to weddings that are like, hey, yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I'm like, are you crazy? Lists.
Yeah. Well, lists. The funny thing is that I brought up on my course coming up, the dreaded shot list. How many wedding photographers will say, oh my God, the dreaded shot list? I don't hear the word shot list. What I hear the word is communication. Because whether you do it verbally, I have printed and verbal. Really, even though I can say that I've done hundreds of weddings for them, I still want to review with them. Even if it's just verbally, review with them what exactly I'm going to take. So if I say the bride, you're getting dressed at 2 o'clock, 2:15, your mom's coming in, 2:30, the bridesmaids, that gives them confidence, and that's why they hired you. And I'm letting them know that before they even hire me, that this is the game plan that we go through and the strategies, and they're saying, wow, you sound like you know what you're doing. And so even though, we can brag that I don't need a shot list, I've been doing it forever. You know that, but how do you communicate to her that and make her feel confident?
She's the one that's freaking out.
She's the one freaking out. So I have it in print form if they feel comfortable, but chances are when I sit with them, I review it with them. This way, when the wedding's over, I never have brides that say, you missed all these pictures. See, especially nowadays, because they're just relying on your website and your portfolio. But when mom gets the pictures, who maybe she paid for it, and says, where's the picture of me and my aunt that came from Germany and the grandmother 90, where's she?
I had a problem with that in my own wedding.
Right, yeah. And, and the wedding photographer was kind of coming across so artsy. I mean, if the bride's okay with that, some brides are relaxed about that, and that's fine. But there are some brides that if they feel more comfortable, you want to kind of communicate with them, and I think that's...
And I think the funny part about that, and I laugh about this, is because the one thing that I've noticed, like when I'm out, is you'll notice that everybody wants artsy until after the wedding.
There you go, bingo.
After the wedding, it's like, where's my shot of this and this and this? My mom with my brother, my mom with this person, these people that do this, and all of a sudden, out comes the invisible formalist.
Right.
But I thought you wanted me to shoot all, far off in the corner, PJ style. And it's like, oh, you don't get PJ style and get this at the same time. Yeah. You got to pick one. So it's good that you protect yourself like that.
Yeah, it's communication. I mean, it's like I said, you can boast how great you've done hundreds of weddings. You can do that. But at the end of the day, when the bride picks up her finished album or even showing her proofs, same thing. I want to make sure that they're happy about it. And my ego's not to the point so that I'm like, oh, no, I know how to handle this. I don't want any problems. Doing it for so long, I want to go smooth. Right. I'm already over that. I've already made hundreds of mistakes. So I'm telling you, I've done it by experience because I've made more mistakes. But now it's like, I want them to be happy when they leave me because there's a thing called like Yelp
Right.
Other social networks, they can obviously put their comments about you. That's tough now. I mean, photographer has to now follow through. You can't just burn them if you wanted to, because now it's on these review websites. So some photographers, a lot of us that take it serious, that's important. In fact, you probably go like to a car dealer and they ask you, can you give me a 5-star rating? Mm-hmm. So that's been implemented in their world already. But now with the social part, again, using what I mentioned, they can do that for us vendors too. Yep. So that's important for me to keep that positive. So I make sure that the bride's happy when they get that finished album.
Nice. Great follow through. Hey, last thing, I've seen some wedding invitations from Mr. Ken Falk. What's going on, Ken? I've seen some wedding invitations that tell people not to shoot during the ceremony and provide disposables at the reception.
There you go.
Right.
Great solution. I think so. Let's sign up for that, Ken. I think.
And
great.
Yes, last comment here. Jock said PJ photojournalism. Yes, a lot of the times photojournalism wedding style. So you'll see a very, very what I tend to call traditional, classic photography, which is, you see the classic shots, the classic bride, the classic groom, and all that stuff. And then you tend to see this PJ, photojournalistic style, where it almost looks like you're watching a news coverage. A lot of the times it's high use of black and white, high use of noise. You'll tend to see very, very off camera shots. So it's almost kind of like the best person that I've ever seen do it well, I think, is somebody like Joey Busing.
There you go. Exactly.
Joe Busing does some great stuff out there. Kevin Cabota's done some stuff like that, but he flips on most of that kind of stuff. But a lot of the times you have to kind of know that you can't just rely on that kind of stuff. Sometimes it'll come back and bite you. Yeah, you need to be able to have those formal things. Yeah. So let's talk about a couple of different things here. The first thing we want to talk about is a Peachbit deal. So we have a Peachbit deal. You're going to go to peachbit.com/KelbyTV. You're going to enter in KelbyTV.com as a code, and you're going to win you're going to get 40% off of the ebook for the digital print by Jeff Sheewey. So if you want to print your images in Lightroom and Photoshop, there's no better book to teach you how to be able to do all of the minute details than Mr. Jeff Sheewey's book. Yeah, so if you want to take a look at that, 40% off of that. Now, time for a contest. Let's get and wrap this up. I want you to go to KelbyTV.com. At KelbyTV.com/contest, go ahead and put in the grid, put in your name, put in your email, put in your website, and leave us a comment. Tell us what you thought. Tell us how excited you are to be able to see Frank Salas on Kelby Training. One of you guys is going to win the following $2. You're going to win Peter Reed Miller's books on sports photography. Peter Reed is pretty cool. I'm not a big sports guy, and I was going through this, and I'm like, damn, that's some pretty good shots. That's pretty good. So if you're interested in sports photography, this is the best place for you to go. And Scott's brand new book, Lightroom 5 for digital photographers. One of you guys is going to get those 2 books. Frank, I can't tell you, I am excited to see your class.
Thank you.
So it's like I started thinking about it. I'm shooting a wedding. I'm shooting a wedding in 2 weeks. I think in 2 weeks I'm shooting a wedding, and I'm like, I'm having a little nerves about it. But now you're making me go, man, I better go dig out that suit.
Don't worry, the uncles and aunts will take those pictures. You're safe.
Oh, I'm hooked. I'm all right. So anyway, if we want to see more information from you, where can we go?
Yeah, go to franksalas.com. And also I'm on, there you go. And then I'm also at Facebook /Frank Salas Photography. So that's usually where I'm posting weekly on all our latest events that are coming up. So
Perfect. Well, great. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Yeah, I love you.
And thanks all you guys for stopping in. And we will see you guys next week here on The Grid. Take care.
Awesome.
This week's episode of The Grid is sponsored by Impics. Shoot today, upload tonight, we ship tomorrow. On One Software, focused on photography. Peach Pit Press, publishers of technology books, ebooks, and videos for creative people. Epson, exceed your vision. Expo Imaging, rogue flash benders for speedlight enthusiasts. Intel, the power you need for hardcore creatives. Squarespace, everything you need to create an exceptional photography website. And B&H Photo, the professional source.